course, then the Pentagon admits, oh, we're testing newer, more advanced amnesic psychotropics on them. Oh, which are used in mind control. Over 1/10 of active duty is on mind control drugs. All right, my friends, I just ranted and went through news in the first hour. I haven't even gotten to the main bulk of the off-the-chart news, and I haven't given the number out. I do want to take a lot of calls today. But here is just some of the news. Again, I'm going to go over this more later in more detail. 110,000 active duty troops on psychotropics and other mind control drugs. And they're saying, gee, could that be why they're running around and attacking police and robbing things and killing their families? And, gee, going off base at night and killing 18 people, including 2-year-old children, and setting them on fire? Oh, you took a guy who's been in 4 tours of heavy combat and had part of his foot blown off and asked to not be redeployed, and you put him on Prozac and sent him back out there. And then a roadside bomb blew up some of his buddies a few days before, and he snapped? What, you shouldn't give hardcore trained killers who've had their foot already partly blown off, and then their buddies get killed in front of them? You shouldn't put them on a hallucinogenic drug that says it causes violent swings where you don't control yourself and kill people? Oh, you want to give that to a trained killer? That is a really, really, really good idea. That's a super duper idea. And then you want to give these drugs to people saying, oh, you're having anxiety. We'll just put you on Xanax. I have a good friend who they put on Xanax, and he got pretty crazy on it, and it turned into a big national media circus. I'll just leave it at that. People can probably figure out who I'm talking about. People are like, he's gone crazy. Yeah, get off the Xanax, no longer crazy. And a lot of people are like, oh, Xanax really is helping me. Yeah, but it's Russian roulette. It's Russian roulette. And we live in an unnatural society with GMO, chemicals, biologicals, all this in us. So we're already having enough problems. And they say, well, we'll put you on these drugs so you don't notice it anymore. And then you don't have that normal governor that's in you. That's what Prozac and this whole class of drugs do, is that a mother just suddenly, in a dream state, puts their children one after the other in the bathtub and holds them under till they die, and then dresses them and puts them in their beds, or drives them off a cliff, or takes their babies and gets out a big butcher knife and chops their arms and legs off. And then calls the police and says, I just didn't know what to do except chop them up like a chicken. You know, church moms do it all the time now. My doctor put me on Prozac or Luvox, and the police pull up, and there she is in her apron with a butcher knife. Hello, officer. I'm ready to go now. And they're going to send Bales to prison instead of to a mental institution. I mean, if you slip somebody 3 hits of LSD and they have a bad trip and go out and kill 2 or 3 people, and people find out that somebody spiked their drink, there's actually been cases of this, you don't even go to jail, folks, because someone stuck in the bar LSD in your drink. But the system cannot let this guy go that shot the cop in the neck and killed him, and they can't let Sergeant Bales go because they can't indict the Prozac or the other psychotropics that they're on, Xanax. Because then, see, it's always, why is everybody killing everybody? Well, we better put checkpoints everywhere to stop this. And the guys running the checkpoints are on the same drug. It's like, we don't know why breast cancer is so bad. We're not going to look at that. We'll just figure out how to cure it. Well, why is there so much more of it? It's like, why are people going crazy? Well, let's not look at that. Let's just put them in jail. Okay, whatever. We'll be right back. Up at Infowars.com is our top story. Antidepressant drugs causing epidemic of mania, mayhem, and murder. A gentleman shot a police officer who responded to a routine call last Thursday night. I mentioned this on air. And by the time I got off air, the Austin American-Statesman in the afternoon had talked to his roommate and confirmed he was on Paxil and drank alcohol. And, of course, what is the side effect of that? Violent tendencies, big time. And if you scroll down into the comments on Infowars.com, he says, once upon a time, my doctor set me up with SSRIs to combat hypertension. And again, this is a comment I'm reading on Infowars.com about Paxil in a separate case. It was about 2 years ago, took my Paxil that morning, and later that night, I drank a glass of wine. It was about 10 p.m. when I was told that I armed myself with a rifle and went for a walk in a neighborhood. Later, the police came. I was surrounded by 12 or so cops, so I'm told. The cops tried to arrest me, but I told them I ranted and raved about everything and anything for about a half an hour, ignoring the cops and the guns they were pointing at me. I was violently arrested. A few hours later, I woke up at a hospital, handcuffed to the bed. Paxil caused this behavior. I have very little memory of that night at all. I have permanent physical injuries as a result of the violent arrest. Take it from someone who's been there. Don't ever put an SSRI in your body. And that's true. And if you are already on them, you have to go off very slowly. That's the #1 thing that causes the total violent mania cuckoo behavior, is to go off them quickly. Whoa. Do not go off the medication cold turkey. Whatever you do. This isn't like kicking a coffee and you just get a headache, or stopping drinking booze and you get a headache. This is crazy person time. Anyways, I was just reading a comment from that article. Antidepressant drugs causing epidemic of mania, mayhem, and murder. America's addiction to dangerous SSRIs hits crisis level. The alleged shooting of a police officer in Austin. The guys are so careful to say alleged. It's on video. It's him. It's the shooting. The cop was shot. I wrote this with Paul, but we probably need to change that. The alleged shooting. No, he was shot. Of a police officer, he's dead. Of a police officer in Austin by a man taking the anti-anxiety drug Xanax is just one of a plethora of recent incidents fueled by antidepressant pharmaceuticals, an epidemic of mania that has swept the country and the world, everywhere this happens. Mary Odell, the mother of 24-year-old Brandon Montgomery Daniel, told the Associated Press that her son's role in the fatal shooting of Austin senior police officer Jamie Padron was fueled by alcohol and psychotropic drugs. And she went on to break it down. And then we have all the other examples. And you have Bales, who they won't release it, but they're saying the treatment he was under, he was clearly on Prozac. They're hiding those records. And it's got all the other shooting examples in the article where it's been that. You can just scroll through it all and read it for yourself. Everybody knows this. But look at this article. Look at this article right here. A fog of drugs and war, Los Angeles Times. More than 110,000 active duty Army troops last year took antidepressants. And it just goes on to talk about all these pilots, all these military police, all these people with no criminal record, great service records, doing horrible things, assaulting people, attacking people, going crazy, killing people. Well, yeah. The worst idea in the world is to take trained killers like Sergeant Bales and put him on a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And then he just breaks down. This is a guy who'd already been in 4 tours, had part of his foot blown off before, asked to not be sent back, had been in treatment at the military base in Oregon, and then was told he was okay and sent back into Afghanistan. And he's there a few weeks, and his buddies get blown up in an armored vehicle, and then he goes crazy and goes out and shoots a bunch of people, reportedly. His lawyer's not, right now, not even really denying he did it. No, I mean, the point is that no one is discussing the drugs, except for the LA Times. And in fact, that's actually something I can say. I mean, here's the article right here. A fog of drugs and war. And it goes over all of that and gives you, in 5 pages, a bunch of examples of it. That's in the Los Angeles Times today. If you want to go read it. Okay, let me now go ahead and shift gears into some other areas, but everyone's welcome to call in about any of the subjects I've raised so far, any of the issues I'm about to get to. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231. Coming up at the start of the third hour, I'm going to air video and audio of the new Black Panther Party calling for blood in the streets and mass race war. And again, we have the video. We're going to get it posted at Infowars.com, an article we already have up there. But this one is a family-friendly that has cut out all of the profanity. The issue is that the Hatari militia simply said, if the government comes to confiscate our guns, we're going to have to fight back. And gee, we hope it doesn't come to that. And they were arrested and held for years, and the judges said they're not guilty, release them. But the feds, of course, aren't doing that. They're holding them on weapons charges, which are legal guns, but they're saying guns in the commission of a crime. So the charges have been thrown out for the other crime, but they're saying the guns in the commission of that crime, they're going to be held for that. Just like the Davidians were found in the appeals process. Even the Supreme Court said release them. They're found not guilty of murdering federal police officers, and the feds still held them on using firearms in the commission of murdering, killing federal police. But they were found not guilty of murdering. So it's the same thing. But you notice somebody who's for the Constitution, Bill of Rights, who isn't racist, the Atari weren't into race stuff, they go to jail. But I've seen the new Black Panthers in Houston, the new Black Panthers in Chicago, the new Black Panthers in D.C., in Baltimore, on video, say we're going to kill all the white people. And we want to start murdering and shooting them right now. Now, why aren't they being arrested? Because they'll normally arrest a black guy for walking down the street. Walking while black. They throw the book at black people like nobody I've seen. Why? Because they want this race war to start, ladies and gentlemen. Where is the Southern Poverty Law Center and ADL to decry them and say they're calling for violence? I mean, they're always saying I'm calling for violence when I'm not. They're always saying I'm going to cause violence when I'm not. It's not going to help us defeat the New World Order if every cop in America got a bullet between their eyes. In fact, it would help the New World Order. I'm not calling for killing police. I'm calling for the opposite. I'm not calling for bloodbaths and killing citizens and let's send a 10,000-man group to arrest George Zimmerman. It's pretty amazing what they say about, we need to kill the whites and have race war and blood and all this. And it's just incredible. So that's coming up in the next hour. I've got some bad news here. Last week, Tuesday or so, they announced that they were going to pull the U.S. aircraft carriers out of the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, and that Israel was going to stop or scale back internal low-intensity conflict, they call it, inside Iran. That's warfare, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody does that to us, we call it terrorism. And Watson wrote the article saying, last aircraft carrier leaving. Well, that was all a ruse. They had another aircraft carrier show up, 2 aircraft carriers leave, and now all 3 are going in. And everything's on full alert. Just like they told Assad, okay, ceasefire, our peaceful activists will stop blowing up police stations and rocket attacking. And as soon as Assad stood down, they just launched attacks with U.S. and Israeli and British forces backing them. Not even so much Israeli, but they're somewhat involved. They're really involved in the Libya thing. Attacking from all angles. Just it's pure deception. The problem is if you ever actually want to make a deal with somebody,